So, to further your understanding, panoodin natin tong video ng BBS.
We rely on our knowledge, experience and procedures such as risk assessments, toolbox talks and permits to work to determine the proper way to perform a task. Focusing safety training on breaking unsafe patterns of behavior will allow us to perform the task in the correct way, reinforcing a pattern of behavior with an emphasis towards safety. In this program we'll learn the definition of behavior-based safety, how it's implemented, and how to ensure it succeeds. We'll see how to correctly conduct a workplace observation from start to finish. We'll show how observers identify safe and unsafe work behaviors, and how those are modified through training. And we'll learn about the barriers to breaking dangerous work patterns, and how poor training and follow-through can make those patterns worse. Changing how we think before we perform the task is the foundation of behavior-based safety. If improved training methods alone won't help stop accidents, then how can we go about making our work safer?
Behavior-based safety is a process where mariners can actually evaluate each other through an observation process, looking for at-risk behaviors and rewarding those safe behaviors that are noted.
This idea is simple. Make safe behaviors part of the work culture. The introduction of a behavior-based safety system starts with identifying the steps associated with performing the job safely. Next, those behaviors are communicated to those of us performing that task. Then we are observed performing the task to ensure they're accomplished correctly. When a crew member demonstrates safe work behaviors, positive reinforcement must be given. Training and other corrective methods, such as showing the proper way to perform the task, are employed when at-risk behaviors are noted. Providing goals rather than just incentives also helps to create and reinforce more positive work behaviors. Coaching and mentoring are also ways we can continue to develop positive work behaviors.
The real key is just to making sure that you share all the information with the employees so they know their comments are heard and understood too, but also recognize the good things that we do as well. It's really easy to point out something that potentially is at risk, but patting someone on the back for a job well done goes a long way.
Positive leadership is vital to reinforce good work behaviors. With a directive that safety remains a priority in all aspects of company operation, we then know our priorities. One of the primary tools of behavior-based safety is the observation card. This creates the uniform framework for the trained observer to detail a crew member's performance.
There's actually two processes to conducting an observation. One would be an individual observer observing a task or a set of tasks for a limited period of time. And the other way that I've found successful in the maritime industry also is do it as a group. Prepare each other and say we're doing our weekly observation. Keep your eyes open. When we're done, we'll sit down and discuss what we saw.
An observation card is a checklist detailing how a particular job should be performed as per the company's safety management system. An experienced person on board follows the process on the observation card. An answer of yes to each question on the observation card means the worker is performing each task safely and as per the SMS. The observation has been announced beforehand and optimal work conditions are chosen. Many criteria are taken into consideration during the observation. Is the crew member wearing the proper PPE? Do they make sure their eyes are on the path while walking on deck? Are they using the proper tools? Are environmental or other regulatory procedures being observed? Is the crew member competent to perform the task by way of training? Was a toolbox talk or more formal risk assessment performed? Were all relevant permits to work granted prior to work commencing? Once the work is completed, the observer will discuss the results of the observation with the crew. This will include safe acts, barriers to safe behavior, and how to remove those barriers. Once the crew agrees on the outcome of the observation, the card is submitted.
When the observation is complete, it's really critical that you actually start forming data and collecting data, because you need to get feedback back to the workers about what's being seen, what's being observed, see if there's any trends out there, and there's different ways to improve by having that conversation, that dialogue.
Data from completed observations are reviewed and compiled. When patterns are established and enough data is available to determine which behaviors need to be corrected, then a training matrix can be created, or PPE or equipment can be received.
But when I see something maybe that has 10 at-risk behaviors for safety glasses per se, I want to know what the at-risk behavior is. Is it that they weren't wearing them because they fogged up too much? That the scratches on the lens prevented them from seeing correctly? They weren't comfortable? They weren't cool enough looking? I can fix all those things once I know what the dialogue is.
We all have a tendency towards thinking or behaving in a particular way, sometimes at the expense of safety. Many times, performing the same task over and over will lead us to believe we can do it safely every time. We think because we've done it often, we'll always do it correctly. Knowing a task well can lead us to think we know where and how to cut corners to save time, where risks may be thought of as low probability to the worker. Following specific procedures to perform work can help get the job done, but it's only through awareness of these tendencies toward working faster rather than safer that we can think about changing our behavior. Fear or unfamiliarity with a task can also be a barrier to good work behaviors. All humans possess a fight or flight instinct, where one of the oldest parts of our brain can take over if it perceives a danger to ourselves or those immediately around us. This is known as an amygdala hijack, after the part of the brain that controls this instinct. An emergency on the job in the form of a falling piece of equipment or cargo can cause us to immediately respond to that danger, forgetting our surroundings, resulting in a loss of situational awareness. In this case, the danger from responding to one extreme can keep us in harm's way, rather than taking us out of it. Teaching crew members the proper or preferred method of performing tasks and defining expected safe behaviors is the backbone to maritime safety. Despite this level of commitment, the weakest link in any safety culture is the entire reason the culture exists at all. You. Studies of maritime accidents consistently show more than 80% of accidents are the result of unsafe behavior. While we may be trained in the correct or safest way to perform a task, this does not mean our individual behaviors have been overcome, unless we have an agreed and common understanding of safety. Making sure there is adequate follow-up through proper training makes this more difficult. Likewise, further observation as tasks are completed ensures jobs are performed safely. In this program, we learned about behavior-based safety, how it's implemented, and how best to ensure it succeeds. We saw how the observation process is used to identify safe work behaviors, as well as those requiring change. And we took a look at how we develop dangerous work patterns, how poor training can reinforce those patterns, and how good behavior changes can leave us working safer and smarter. Behavior-based safety is gaining more acceptance and use as a method to reduce maritime accidents and casualties. It is a mindful approach to work, designed to make each crew member an integral and responsible part of the safety management system.
Okay. Ayun mga kardi, napanood nyo na yung video. Yun. Ay mga video mga kardi.
Okay. So, yun yung parang general summary ng ating pinag-usapan this morning. That video on how to conduct BBS, no? Yung concept. So basically, ganun siya dinevelop sa industry, and hoping na makakatulong ito sa atin
Just correct,
na elevate yung the way we think or behave pertaining sa safety. So meron tayong form na ginagamit, no? Ang tawag dyan ay BBS 401, no? Makikita nyo dyan, yan ay naka-categorize sa different section. Merong para sa PPE, body use and position, equipment, work environment, personal factor, at saka onboard management. So meron niyang mga entries or concerns. So halimbawa, at meron dyan nakalagay na S at saka C. So S stands for
weeks later, many months later, 2,000 years later.
Hindi ka naka-encounter ng BBS sa kanilang previous na company. So basically, dapat meron tayong planner, no? Meron naka-schedule yung mga BBS observer natin, at each particular crew ay merong assignment kailan sila mag-carry out na kanila BBS. Sa principal namin sa MOL, ang BBS observer namin ay at least once every month bawat each crew, no? So dalawang observer kada araw, isa sa kubyerta, isa sa makina.
Tama sir.
So pagka nasa port operation, usually mga anchorage, wala kaming BBS observation. Normally sa mga sea passage lang. So naka-calendar yan kung sino yung magiging observer. Tapos pagka nag-carry out na tayo ng observation, kailangan ilagay natin sa reporting form at ipapadala natin sa opisina. And yan naman ay i-analyze ng opisina para na sa ganon ay malaman kung paano ba ang behavior ng mga tao sa barko, kung paano sila nagtatrabaho. So i-analyze yan at magkakaroon ng feedback ang company regarding the yung mga statistics na mga nare-report natin. So yan ang whole concept ng BBS. Sa on-site naman sa barko, so bago daw tayo magkaroon ng BBS observation, dapat mag-carry out muna tayo ng mga briefing on-site, toolbox, at saka assess the risk kung meron, no? At kung sakali in the process ng observation nakita natin na pwedeng mapahamak yung ino-obserbahan natin, dapat mag-i-intervene tayo, no? Sasawayin natin, no? Para na sa ganon, pagkuhan tayo ng stop work authority, para na sa ganon ay ma-prevent yung accident, no? During the BBS observation. So usually the BBS observation ideally is 10 minutes lang, no? Maximum siguro ay 15 minutes. Napakatagal na yan. So i-observe natin yung mga tama niyang ginawa at saka yung mga hindi masyadong tamang ginawa, no? So in that process meron tayong checklist. Later Papakita ko sa inyo yung form. No? So, safe at saka concern, check natin. So, gusto natin dito sa BBS observation ay i-point out yung mas maraming ginagawa niya na tama. No? Ang main objective natin dito is ma-encourage yung ating mga kasamahan na paulit-ulit niyang gawin yung mga tama niyang ginagawa. No? So, at kung meron man siyang mga concern, no, mga maliliit na bagay o major items na pwedeng maka-cause ng accident in the future sa kanya o sa kanyang mga kasamahan, ay ipo-point out din natin. No? At same time na para makorek yung kanyang mga pagkakamali na yun or points for improvement. No? So, usually, magandang i-discuss yung mga na-obserbahan natin during the break. O, para na sa ganon, ay tapos na yung trabaho at medyo relax. Hindi tayo doon sa workplace nag-debriefing. No? Para na sa ganon ay tayo yung hindi tayo offensive ng konti. No? Offensive at saka defensive. Karaniwan ang behavior ng tao, pag sinasabihan natin sila na ito, mali ito ginawa mo, ang usual na behavior ng tao ay offensive tayo. Marunong ka pa sa akin, tagal-tagal ko nang ginagawa yan. Hindi ka nga malibawa, si Peter, sinita mo, bakit hindi ka gumagamit ng shade, welding shade, pagka nag-welding ka? Kaninang na-observahan ko. Sasabihin sa'yo, malabo kasi, hindi ko siya masyado makita. Okay. So, sasabihin mo sa kanya, pangit yung baka masira yung tagal ko lang ginagawa yan, sasabihin sa'yo. So, nagkakaroon ng resistance, no? Yung behavior. No? Lalong-lalo na, meron tayong tinatawag na psychology of workplace. Pag sisitahin mo ang isang tao sa isang lugar na pinagtatrabahuhan niya, usually matapang yan. Halimbawa, chief cook. Pag sinabihan mo si chief cook at sinita mo yan sa kusina, no? Ang pakiramdam niya, sinisita mo siya sa workplace niya, matapang si chief cook. Kasi marami siya mga kutsilyo dyan sa paligid niya. Okay. So, ang pinaka-effective na pangsita kay chief cook, ipatawag mo yan sa opisina mo. Tawagin mo telepono. Cook, yan kaya sa kabina ko. So, bakit pa lang yan? At pag-iisip na yan, bakit kaya ako pinatawag nag-aapat sa opisina? So, nawawala siya sa place of territory niya. So, ganun ang typical na management, no, sa BBS. Huwag mong i-discuss yung mga tama at mga hindi masyadong tamang ginagawa niya doon sa workplace niya. Kasi usually, ang pakiramdam natin dyan, territory ko to, bakit ko mas marunong sa akin? So, kaya ang sabi ng guidance natin, mag-debriefing tayo doon sa hindi maingay na lugar, no? Huwag doon sa workplace. So, the main objective, of course, is ma-achieve natin yung safety natin. No? At any na-observe natin na makes a concern o calls for a concern, dapat daw, i-discuss natin yan sa safety meeting. So, sa kumpanya natin, minimum ang requirement ay 6 BBS observation na monthly basis. Ang kailangan natin ipadala sa kumpanya. No? Etong mga 6 BBS reports na to, kailangan i-discuss din natin sa safety management meeting. Para na sa ganon, tataas yung awareness kahit hindi ka kasama dun sa nag-observe o in-observe. No? Para na sa ganon, magiging aware tayo na yung pala ay risky, yung pala ay hazardous. Okay? Yeah. So, yan ang natin. So, gusto natin na ma-address itong ating pinagsimula kung bakit in-implement natin itong BBS. So, gusto natin pababain yung mga na-aksidente na AD, OS, motorman, pattern engineer. No? Gusto natin din pababain itong mga body parts na nai-involve sa aksidente or injuries. Okay? So, gusto natin yan na mabago. At according sa studies, sa experience ng ibang kumpanya sa maritime industry, malaki ang may tutulong ng BBS. Okay. So, ang company natin, pag tinignan ninyo yung ating QDMS, okay, QDMS, makikita nyo yan sa PAL, meron diyang specific na manual na behavior-based safety manual. So, nakalagay dyan yung mga BBS procedure, planning, observing, post-observation, observation result reporting sa ship, sa shore, at saka yung observation port. No? So, basically, kung ano yung mga diniscuss ko sa inyo, yan din yung laman nung nandyan sa BBS manual. No? So, kung paano gagawin, sinong approach ang gagawin, ano yung importance no, anong advantage no, ano disadvantage no. So lahat yan ay dinidiscuss dito sa BBS manual. So available yan sa barko ninyo. Pwede nyo basahin at tingnan no, kung para ma-review ninyo. So ano ba ang mga qualities ng observer? Dapat ba experience tayo? Dapat ba mas magaling tayo dun sa ino-obserbahan natin? So, not necessarily. No? Pwede raw ang observer ay messman, okay? O deck trainee o deck boy. At ang obserbahan mo ay si chief engineer o si kapitan sa kanyang ginagawa. Hindi nangangahulugan na ikaw ay mababang rango ay hindi na credible yung iyong observation. No? Kasi hindi naman competency ang ating ino-observe. Ang ino-observe natin ay pag-uugali, behavior. No? Kung paano tayo naggagalaw. No? Yun ang ino-obserbahan dito sa BBS. Hindi competency. Hindi nangangahulugan na ikaw ay deck boy, wala kang license, o OS ka, o wiper ka, ay hindi mo na pwedeng obserbahan si third engineer, o si second engineer, o si second officer, o third officer. Kasi ikaw ay walang resulta. So, hindi yung pinapag-usapan dito.
Wala mo ma?
Ang tinitingnan dito, kung paano gumagalaw yung tao. Okay? At sabi natin,
Aling gulay?
kung paano siya gumagalaw is because it is driven by his behavior. So, yung behavior ay observable. No? Hindi natin ino-obserbahan yung kanyang kakayanan per se o yung kanyang competence.